must remember this, that a kiss is still a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. Or still a sigh? I always get the words wrong. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dad's Den of Pop Culture. I'm Dad, and I got 3 hours of sleep last night. Because I got an illegal short-term rental party house next door who quieted down at night and then at midnight decided the time was right. And that went till about 3 in the morning. And I'd almost fallen asleep. I think if I'd fallen asleep before midnight, I probably could have slept through it. Probably. But I didn't. I am pretty damn tired right now. I gotta be honest with you. Which means this will either be a disaster or comedy gold. I'm betting on disaster. Hope everybody is doing well today. I'm looking at it going, I am live, right? Okay, I did press all the buttons. Yeah, I pressed the buttons. I press the buttons that make the young girls cry. That actually didn't sound right. Take that back. Yeah, being punchy possible. Yeah. Okay. So, what's going on in the world today? Oh, God. No, wait, I'm ending the stream right now. I don't want to talk about what's going on in the world today. This is a morning stream for me, in my defense. I got this yesterday, this big gulp cup, and I decided to reuse it. I don't know how much of a defense that is. So what's up? We're going to talk a little bit today about some of the movie stuff that's going on. Oh, no, not that movie. I'm done with that. With some of the MCU stuff, because it's San Diego Comic-Con, so there's all sorts of crap coming out. Maybe genuinely crap coming out. We'll talk about a couple other things. We'll talk about a few pop culture figures who we lost in the last week or so. We'll look at some new comics. Hail, Man of War 665, the neighbor of the beast. I like to think of you as the wacky neighbor of the beast. Busting in to Satan's house like Kramer. You know, that's what I like to think. We'll talk about some new comics I grabbed this week. We will look at Superman, who showed up this week. He was a late delivery. I got the other two dudes, and I did a whole video about them, Batman and Flash, a few weeks ago. And for some reason, Superman was delayed, but it's here. We're going to take it off card. We'll take a look at that dude. We'll look at some new releases, new campaigns. Well, actually, I don't think any campaigns. I think it's just new releases, coming attractions, that kind of stuff. We'll look at that, and then I will probably go collapse on the couch. Oh, we're going to look at Thundarr, number 5. Just I don't know if it just came out. I somehow missed it, but I picked it up at the comic shop yesterday, and it was the last issue left of number 5. And anyways, so let's get started. Oh, what does Man of War say? Back in the MMO days, marathon ratings. Oh, yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was like I was grabbing a Coke because I really need the caffeine. And, well, Diet Coke. And I saw it was still sitting on the counter from yesterday. So I'm like, what the hell? It's kind of handy because you get the straw going. You know, and I'm a big fat guy, so I can do anything I want. So I saw this story come up, just like, maybe it was this morning I saw it pop up, but I just thought it was funny. It kind of gives you an insight. One of the biggest problems we have when we try to understand the world we live in is we oftentimes assume competence, especially at high levels, right? But that's not always the case, and it's very often not the case. And sometimes people at high levels, well, sometimes they're dishonest. Sometimes they don't, like, do you know what you just said? So this kind of got me. Patreon announces it is laying off 93 employees, which is 20% of its workforce, which, if I'm completely honest, They don't have a big workforce to begin with. I would have maybe thought bigger, but now the reason is they've got to adapt to AI technology because AI is coming along so very swiftly. And so they need to be more efficient. They need to be smaller. But those people are not losing their jobs because of AI. I'm sorry, sir. They are, in fact, losing their jobs because of AI. Even if AI is not replacing them, AI is the reason in your press release you say for having to lay the people off, i.e., fire them. I hate the term lay off. It sounds so nice. It's such corporate speak. Just say fired them, right? Would Mr. Spacely have been as effective if it was, Jensen, you're laid off? No, it's fired. Just say fired, for God's sakes. Nice, short, one syllable, freaking honest. You're firing them because of AI. That's why they're losing their jobs. That's why. Drives you nuts. Oh, let's see. What did he say? I made that comment as clean as I could. Maybe I went too far. Didn't have to approve it, so you did good. Yeah. Anyway, so Patreons. But now here's the one thing that somebody brought up, I think that's cogent, worth thinking about. That means they're going to be using AI probably the same way YouTube has, which has resulted in a lot of people losing channels, at least temporarily, because AI is not what they think it is, frankly. Look, I use it for some stuff. I've used it for some stuff at work. It has increased my productivity. It's a really decent search engine. And I know people say, but there's hallucination. Yeah, okay, there are. But if you know what you're doing and you organize the prompt right, so to speak, you can cut a lot of that kind of stuff out. It just depends on what you're using it for and how in depth you're trying to get. I have to oftentimes enter a lot of business information into my database. And the time was, I would be in Google. I would search for the company name, and via the search results could generally get the website. And sometimes from the website can get their contact address and maybe a phone number. And then I needed to do a search, a separate one, to find a couple different codes that are used by the government for basically what a company does. There's two different, systems. I just basically built an agent in a thing that says, okay, if I put in the name of a business, here's what you give me. Show your sources, which it does. They do at this point, generally anyways. And so now I just type in the name of the thing once. It's right there. And generally, if something looks off, I'll catch it. And they're kind of getting a little bit better at catching things that are maybe off themselves, based on resources they're using. I was able to basically say, hey, here's a couple different sources that are not really that good. So keep that in mind. Put that in your memory, that these are not really trusted sources. We can use them, but, they're oftentimes out of date and stuff like that. So there are things it can do, but there's a lot of stuff it really can't do. And Patreon's probably going to find that out. And a lot of people who are using Patreon are probably going to find that out the hard way. Also announced Ryan Gosling cast as Ghost Rider. I guess, I don't know. My daughter has decided he's great lately. So, yeah, I was saying to her, we're chatting about it. I go, hey, isn't that the jerk who was in Young Hercules? Because she just, based on watching him in a movie and liking him, she bought the Young Hercules series on DVD. She is definitely my kid. So I was giving her crap. But so it seems though people overall were kind of like, yeah, that's pretty good. I like that, And where it says, well, where I succeeded in content, I failed at intent. Yeah, exactly. That should have been moderated. I did that wrong. But so everybody seems like, okay, yeah, sure, fine, great. I mean, the thing is, it's MCU's. It's Disney. It's probably not going to be good, guys. It just isn't, especially a character like that. And then they hear Sean Levy is going to direct. And I hear most people go, because he's Deadpool-y, funny, cutesy. And they're kind of going, oh, man, we thought we were going to get a cool Ghost Rider, and we're probably not. And one wonders, too, are you going to get the dude on the bike? Or are you going to get the dude in the car? Which should be called Ghost Rider or Ghost Driver. Anyways, I don't know. Also, and then they announced a new Black Panther 3. Man, they're trying hard to get people back. But they're not trying the right way, to be honest. But they're definitely, look what we got. A fella named David Johnson will play the son of T'Challa. So apparently, female Black Panther, even they had to back off that one. That didn't really ultimately work. So they're going to have it be his son. I think they've maybe done that in some of the modern comics. I don't freaking know. But I do not know the dude, so I couldn't tell you if he's a good casting or a bad casting. But those are the big announcements they've done. My guess is if you love the MCU as it has unfolded, not just the beginning, but the current, you'll probably love these. You'll probably enjoy them. You'll probably have a good time with them. If you don't, you probably won't, because they don't look to me like they're signaling a major change in what they're doing and how they're doing it. We'll talk about that a little bit more here in just a second. In fact, almost just right now, because there were a couple trailers dropped recently. Let me scoot my big butt out of the way. Doomsday. So I watched the trailer. I just didn't care. I lost interest in the MCU pre-Endgame Infinity War. I didn't even watch them. Gosling is danger of being sent out to IP Farm. So, yeah, but if you think about it, I don't know how old he is, but I mean, he's not young anymore. And I don't know, there's probably a point where you just say, dude, I retire. I don't care. I don't care. What great roles are floating around there anyways? Do a damn Marvel movie. Make a bunch of money. Good enough, man. Just good enough. I think Hollywood's it's always been a little like that, but it's kind of gotten to the point of, yeah, this stuff's falling apart. Grab what you can on the way out. Let's loot it at this point. There's an old line. I'm trying to think how it went. It was, and don't take this as political, but this is where the source came from. It was when Robert Bork was not confirmed for the Supreme Court, which angered a lot of people. It was kind of BS when you get right down to it. But and these two political folks are talking. One of them says, "Well, this is the end, of the republic, right? This is it. That they were able to get away with doing something like this." And the other guy said, and I'm going to have to try to sort of paraphrase this. It's like, well, sure, it's the end of everything, but it doesn't mean we can't live well. So I kind of feel like that's what's going on in Hollywood. It's like, it's all falling apart. It's all falling apart. But it doesn't mean we can't make a few bucks and live well while it's falling apart around our ears. And then that way we're well provided for, and it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. There's probably going to be a lot of actors who are going to go, like in a decade's time, go, man, I wish I did a stupid ass Star Wars or Marvel movie. I could use that money right now, because I am believing more every single day that it is going to ultimately be dominated by AI type stuff. They're going to probably get a little bit better and a little bit better at it. But frankly, the quality of movies, aesthetically, in terms of script, in terms of directing, in terms of acting, is going downhill. So if AI, let me see if I can get my hand. If AI is doing this a little bit, even if it's more like this, but just going up a little bit, and Hollywood is doing this, they're going to meet in the middle at some point, and it isn't going to matter. It isn't going to matter that you go, well, the AI doesn't really look as good as real movies. Real movies nowadays don't look as good as real movies. They're not even close. They're just not close, so who cares? Nobody's going to care, right? And like I keep saying, dude, action movies should be easy to make. You literally train an AI on friggin' Schwarzenegger and Stallone movies, and it could probably pump out a script that would work because they're not complicated. You don't need a lot of twists. You don't need a massive amount of characterization. You get one or two people to edit it, and you're probably okay. And you go, what? It could have plot holes. The stuff they have now has plot holes, and is probably, by the way, written a lot of it by AI. So, but then you think, more importantly, AI actors, they're not going to get older. I mean, unless you want them to get older, you can change their age anytime you want. They're not going to go out on the red carpet and say obnoxious things. Nobody's going to expect them to have opinions. They're cartoon characters. That's basically what's happening. Animation is replacing live action. Live action as a movie thing, it's going away. Not entirely, but a lot of it's going away. It's becoming animation. Animation is easier to control, but now they can make animation that looks real. That's kind of the key, but it's just animation. You know, it's just Bugs Bunny, but it just looks like a really realistic human being who's Bugs Bunny. You see, they do these, we're doing a live action Lion King movie. There's nothing live action in the Lion King movie, probably. It's all freaking computer animated. So what's the difference, man? I'm just more and more, man. I think that's where this stuff is going. Hey, Mr. Sushiet, what's up? Let's see. I get it. Manowar says, I get it. It was a business, but he was at least not forcibly Pascal. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's true. And I don't know that they're going to do that with him. But, you know, maybe he's better than those guys. AI actor sounds bad until you mention that they don't have opinions. It sounds amazing. Yeah. They don't get older. They don't age. They're going to be easier to direct. They're not going to have temper tantrums. You don't have to. So what I can imagine is you're going to have people who manufacture AI actors and actresses, and you're going to see which ones click with the public because they have a particular look, because of the voice they gave them, whatever. And it's going to be like comic book characters, right? Think of all the I just did that whole video on Golden Age superheroines, okay? And of all those superheroines, and by the way, some of the best ones went away, but out of all of them, for whatever reason, Wonder Woman really clicks. Wonder Woman clicked. She's the winner. Okay, you create 50 AI actresses and you put them out there in various capacities in advertising. Hey, that's how real actors used to get their jobs, right? You do ads. You do, the dating game, right? So you put these AI actresses, and they've already tried this, by the way. So it's already sort of been done. You put them into commercials, all right? And one of them is going to friggin' click. People are going to be, that's cool. And they'll probably know it's AI, and they aren't going to care. Because, again, you're also seeing replacement of older people who give a crap with younger people who might not give a crap. We don't know yet, but they might not. So that actress, that image clicks. Okay, let's put her in a movie, right? And maybe the creator of that person has some input, so they could try to maintain a certain personality for it, because I think you do need a little bit of personality, right? But again, with comic book characters, the personalities do kind of change over time as different writers take over. So I think that's kind of where you're going to go. And if you really think about it, like that Golden Girls video I did, you know, I actually did a bunch of these, but I only showed 2 of them. I did some, had Grok turn some comic panels photorealistic. Like what would this Wonder Woman look like as a real person, right? And it modifies things a little bit, but it stays relatively close. You get a little picture of it. Now you can do that and make a friggin' movie. You want a comic book accurate movie? We can make a comic book accurate movie. We could basically turn Jack Kirby's Fantastic Four into photorealistic versions of the drawings he did. And we can make a damn movie. And we don't need to worry about Pedro Pascal. It's not going to matter. People like them, people dislike them, whatever, it doesn't matter. So I'm telling you right now, I don't think it's happening like in the next year or two, although sometimes things go faster than you'd think. But more and more I look at the way Hollywood works, runs, or doesn't run very well, and the people in it, I'm going, I don't know, man. I think what you're going to get is the mainstream is going to be heavily AI'd, and then you're going to have live action, real live action indie stuff kind of underneath it in terms of just in like how much money it makes. And then you get some indie films that will do really well. But, and I think for actors, they're going to have to start looking at stage work a lot more, because you can't replace them on the stage with AI until holograms come along, which, oh yeah, they're already here. So who knows? But I think, it's going to be sort of the equivalent of getting your shoes made by an actual cobbler. Like, who was it? Was it Daniel Day-Lewis that became a cobbler? Right? Getting your shoes made by a cobbler versus getting your shoes made by a factory, probably in China, right? Are you going to get handmade entertainment, or is it going to be made in an AI factory? Both will exist, and I think a lot of us will prefer the handmade stuff and have a lot more fun with it. But, if somebody could do something really cool with, like, let's actually take, I don't know, the real Secret Wars and completely animate it using this stuff, and the characters will look like they did in the comic books. I can see a lot of comic book nerds being like, oh, that's kind of cool, actually. That's kind of what I wanted to see. I wanted to see those characters, but look real, running around in the screen and beating each other up and not spouting BS political platitudes that are popular, 20 minutes ago. Anyhow, I don't know. Gygax was a cobbler. I knew he did insurance. You like how high-pitched my voice went? Gygax is a cobbler. Oh my God. Anyways, I didn't know that, though. That's funny. I don't know why it's funny, but it's just like, Gygax is, there's no end to Gygax, man. I love that dude. I know, man, he may have screwed up a little bit running TSR, but look, where he came from, like, all of a sudden he's in charge of a pretty darn big business and IPs and stuff like that. And then he kind of did the Stan Lee thing and went to Hollywood and had a ball, I hope. But he did such cool stuff. Manowar says, to each his own, but already, no, it won't be for me. Yeah, and dude, like, modern stuff is already not for me because it's heavily CGI'd, etc. I'm not saying that's where I want it to go, but I'm looking at it and going, I kind of think it's going to go this way. And it might actually improve the product. I don't think it can make it much worse at this point, say 10 years from now. It could right now. Like Elon's talking about doing a CGI, an AI Odyssey, which will be, okay, interesting to see what he could do with it. He's got resources, that's for damn sure. Even though I guess he's a former trillionaire. I guess the stock went down or something, but anyways, he's pretty close to a trillionaire. He's got the money to do it. It actually, when I saw that, my first thought was Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes making all that money and then going into doing movies and, The Outlaw with Jane Russell. So credit for that. But yeah, I don't know that it'll be for me either, but I just think it's going to go that direction unless they can turn things around in a very dramatic way. Everything now is, in a way, even when it's colorful, it's all gray, right? Like the Odyssey, Nolan's Odyssey, it's all gray. It's just gray. It's a paste, you could just, yeah. So replace one gray paste with another. I don't know that it matters. But the real cool stuff's it is going to be indie. It is going to be indie. And with real actors, etc. That's going to be the really cool stuff. And maybe it'll, do well. But if you look at, like, dude, how is The Simpsons still on the air? I've not heard a living person talk about a Simpsons episode in 25 years. It doesn't get mentioned. It doesn't get talked about. I never have anybody at work. Dude, did you see The Simpsons? Nothing. Used to. You see Simpsons last night? Oh, yeah, it was funny. Bart did such and such. Homer. Oh. Nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about Avatar movies, yet they make billions of dollars. So I don't, it's just like, whatever, man. It's weird. Mr. Sushi Hut says, you're right about it not being able to get much worse. I've watched 7 movies from this year so far, and none of them were very good, especially in story and writing. Yeah, the writing's really poor. Writing's really poor. That's what got me. The dialogue and stuff like that. They're going for a sort of a realism, but it's not realism. It's hyper realistic. That's what movies are. That's why in old movies you got people making dramatic monologues. Or in Shakespeare, people don't make dramatic monologues for the most part in real life. If they do, they often come off as unhinged rants, which you can tell by watching my videos or my live streams. But they do in movies, and it takes good writing. And think about it, man, you used to have like William Faulkner worked on movies. You know, I don't know if Hemingway did, but he might have. What am I thinking of? Dashiell Hammett, you know, like writers used to work in Hollywood. They do some stuff, you know. It was a paycheck, but they had the talent. Now, oftentimes things they did wouldn't get translated to the screen right. It probably annoyed them, but still, like, do you have that nowadays? Like, who's a popular writer? First of all, who's a popular writer nowadays? I don't know. J.K. Rowling, is she still a popular writer? She wrote all of her major stuff, 20 years ago at this point? She ain't doing screenplays, you know? Who are the wordsmiths out there doing screenplays? I'm telling you what, man, that's part of the problem. We talked about that last stream about the old pulps that you could get, and there's like tons of great stuff in them that could be turned into movies and cartoons and TV shows. And a lot of it's public domain. And, you know, even the stuff that's kind of mediocre, it's still pretty good. And it would work, you know, and you can picture an actor delivering some of this stuff and making it fun. But yeah, so much has changed in that regard. I just don't think they could do stuff like they used to. Robert Bolt wrote movies, which Sushi Hut says. Manowar also said, yeah, he ran it out of the house while his wife sold homegrown vegetables to make ends meet before D&D. Wow. Gary Gygax there's a lot there, man. There's a lot there. Okay, Doomsday trailer. Well, there it is. So that was what I was basically going to say about it. It's like, I don't know. The Cap thing didn't impress me. That's not how you introduce Cap, by the way. That's just not how you do it. You have, oh my God, the good guys, they're getting whooped. And then out of nowhere comes this sort of older Captain America. No, he's in street clothes at that point. But, you know, and there's like, is it him? You know, and the da 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 da, and it's like, oh, it's Cap. Oh, cool. Instead, it's this dumb thing with Mjolnir. I don't know, man. What the hell? But those things have just gone to a place where I just don't care. People are calling Robert Downey Jr.'s voice like a friggin' Borat. It's more Marvel bouillabaisse. Just take a whole bunch of unrelated stuff, sort of unrelated, mash it all together. We don't care about any of the stories. We don't care about backstories. We don't care about setups. Just slap it all together. And again, I can do that with AI. So what do I need? What? Are they up to like a $500 million budget at this point? I think they have to make probably in the neighborhood of $2 billion to break even on this thing. Well, but it's going to set up the next thing that doesn't really make any money. You know, we lose money on every movie, but we make it up in volume. No, you don't. Not really. I mean, you're probably writing things off. I know Sushi Hut knows accounting, so I don't know if they can write a lot of this stuff off, and they really just don't care. But it seems like that's the case. Anyhow, the other trailer that popped out was Ebenezer with Johnny Depp, and it looks a little bit over the top to me. So it doesn't look like they're going for a real, like, kind of serious, you know, Scrooge tale. Looks a little more fun. Not quite maybe, you know, Muppets, but more fun, more goofy. But it could be good. Depp's a pretty good actor if you give him something to do. And we'll see. I personally don't know that I need another, the 8 millionth Scrooge movie. So, but it really does actually have a great story in it that I think sometimes gets lost because people focus on early Scrooge, who's a jerk, but he kind of got to being a jerk honestly, in a way, right? Neglect from his father, worries about these kind of things, about money, has to make money so he can marry this woman that he loves, but then he becomes obsessed with the money and loses the woman. So it's, there's things that lead him to where he gets to be. But the Scrooge at the end of the film it's redemption. It's 100% redemption. Nobody kept Christmas better than Scrooge. He changed. He grew as a human being. He figured stuff out. He learned his lesson, but when you see Scrooge in things, like in commercials, it's always angry Scrooge, and you forget it really is a story about redemption and, and figuring out that love is more important than material things. So it's a great story, and it's good to tell for sure. It's just been told so many times in so many different ways. And often in a period where you have everything on video, DVD, or what have you, I just don't know. But it'll be interesting to see what they do with it, and hopefully it'll be good. The music, I figured this was a Tim Burton thing, because that music, it's Depp for one thing. The music sure as hell sounds like Elfman, and I don't know that it is. My wife was looking at it, and she's like, I don't see him in here. So I was positive he was like a producer on it, but maybe not. But it could be good, and it is a good story. So we'll see. Maybe that'll do well. The other one, I don't have an image for it because it occurred to me like right before I was going on. But the Clayface one, and I watched it on, I don't know, like Real BBC or something. I watched the trailer. They were looking at it, and I don't know that I'm really interested in it, but it didn't look bad. It looked like it could be decent. Obviously, a lot of CGI. Which makes sense. And it looks like they're blending some of the different maybe clay faces over the years into like a single, character. But I'm like, yeah, that's, an actor who gets, badly, mauled and uses an experimental thing and blah, 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 blah. It's like, oh yeah, that could work. And they're going more for like a horror element to it than something heroic. Now, the one problem I could see though, maybe, is you're creating this character who is a victim of stuff, right? He's going to probably be somewhat sympathetic. It seems, in the trailer, it doesn't seem like they're going for, like, here's the origin of Freddy or Jason, where you're not really all that sympathetic, especially Freddy. It seems like maybe they're going to make it a little more sympathetic about this actor who goes through this horrific thing. What does that do if you want to have this character fight with Batman at some point? Like, that can make it a little trickier, because Clayface, Golden Age, Silver Age, they kind of played with him more as they went, but not particularly sympathetic as a character. He was kind of a jerk, basically, and a murderous jerk. I think Golden Age, for sure, I think he was a murderer. It's been a while, but I read those. So, obviously, Batman goes and beats his ass, and you could do that, obviously, with Joker, not a really sympathetic character. Penguin, Catwoman's a little different, but she's not really that sympathetic. She chooses evil for the most part, and could choose something else, for sure. OnlyFans. No. So yeah, it'll be kind of interesting to see what they do with that, with those Batman movies. I have a feeling that those Batman movies are going to outlive James Gunn's DC universe. Maybe not the DC universe, but possibly James Gunn's DC universe. I don't know how much longer he has. It sounded like they're not doing long-term renewals for him, or was it Saffron? Is that the other guy who's working on it? And they shouldn't, frankly, because they haven't done a very good job. And I'm not saying that from an artistic standpoint, although that's how I feel about it. That's subjective. I'm saying objectively, they have not done a very good job in creating what Warner's probably wanted to create. Let's get to some sadder news. So I saw the filmmaker Chuck Russell passed away. Directed the Blob remake, Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warriors, The Mask, Scorpion King, obviously a few more things than that. Those are some biggies. Passed away. Very sad. And, again, you realize the impact a lot of these things. Like, I don't know, what are the Nightmare movies? They're kind of little B-movie horror pictures, right? But damn, did they have a huge imprint on the pop culture. You had frigging like a thing for kids to call and talk to Freddy. You had a Freddy toy that I think talked, right? It was like kind of a stuffed Freddy. I remember my mom, the kindergarten teacher, would always be like, most of these kids don't know their colors, but they've all watched Freddy Krueger movies. She was not real pleased with that. But yeah, I mean, so you sometimes these kind of smaller movies have a big impact. And, The Mask, I mean, Scorpion King, I'm trying to think if I've actually watched Scorpion King, and I don't think I have. But The Mask was a fun movie, it was a good flick. I enjoyed it. And so Chuck Russell did some nice stuff there, man, for sure. And God bless him and Godspeed. Also, here's a person whose face you probably don't recognize, but if you come from my generation, you know the dude. This is Plaz Johnson, the saxophonist behind the Pink Panther theme. Ba-dum. Now, I know Mancini was the composer, but this guy played it, man. Passed away at the age of 84. Obviously, he did more than just that. Jazz man, saxophone. But Godspeed and rest in peace to him. But dude, I mean, and obviously a lot of credit goes to Mancini. He composed the Pink Panther theme and a lot of other great stuff. He did the theme for Peter Gunn. You can't say enough about Mancini and his contributions to pop culture. But you put notes on paper, then you got to play the notes on paper. And people, if you're into classical music, the conductor, the people, it makes a difference. Yes, it's still the same, it's still the same music, but it makes a difference to that because it's complex music. And, jazz is complex music as well. The Pink Panther theme is not massively complex, but like how long do you hold that note? How much stank do you put on it? This dude put it together and he did it right. And then also, for old school rock and roll fans. Manor says, the one thing I could say about Scorpion King is it brought Kelly who to my attention. Didn't Horton hear her once? No. How many movies are there like that where like the main thing is somebody's in it and you're like, that is the hottest woman I've ever seen in my life, and the movie itself, you're like, whatever, I don't care. But now I know this lady exists. And let's be honest, and it's the same with women. There's a new hottest woman who ever existed probably coming along in the next month or so. That's just kind of how it works when you're young. But yeah, well, I mean, so that's not nothing, that's not nothing. So old school rock and roll fans and followers of Svengoolie, Freddie Boom Boom Cannon passed away this week at the age of 89. Did Tallahassee Lassie? What's the other one? The with the park, the Palisades Park. Was it Palisades Park? Palisades Park. Anyways, he did some old rock, and he was a big Svengoolie fan. So he reached out and he did this song called the Svengoolie Stomp that they play on Svengoolie a lot. And it was just kind of cool to see, like, here's this dude kind of getting this little second wind all these years later. And so he just passed away. So God bless him. He seemed like a nice guy. He really did. And he talked to Svengoolie about stuff. And Svengoolie's like a great nexus for people of a lot of different walks of life who are fans of what he does and watching those old movies. That stuff's alive. It's alive. He gets drawings from little kids who are watching with their parents and their grandparents and stuff. It runs across generations. It's a good thing. And that's something that we used to get from a lot of horror hosts, just even in local markets, as they brought people together. Local stuff is so cool because it brings you together. And it's like, it's your thing. Well, when I grew up, it was so, like here in Vegas, and this show wasn't on a really long time, so it wouldn't have had as big an impact, but it was Count Cool Rider. Dude who dressed up as a vampire, told really bad jokes, rode around on a motorcycle and stuff. And now he's the Count of Cars, a reality show thing that they did. But he did Count Cool Rider, and it was just fun. It was like, that's our thing. We have that, and you don't. If you're not from Vegas, you don't get Count Cool Rider. Now Svengoolie's gone national, but back in the day, if you're not from Chicago, you don't get Son of Svengoolie. He's ours. And it brought places together, and we're losing a lot of that stuff, I think, as everything becomes this sort of grayish, global whatever. So you got to dig into that local stuff. Final thing on the news front, a remastered re-release of Transformers the movie coming into theaters September 17th. Never watched it in a movie. I was a little bit old when it came out. I ended up watching it. I think I was working at the video store. I think I just grabbed the videotape at some point. Like, what the hell? Let's watch Transformers. And it was that moment, even as somebody who was late teens, probably. I don't think it would have been early 20s, but it could have been, who watches the scene. And it was like, oh my God, did they just do what I think they did? Holy crap. That's insane. So it was even shocking to me at that age. But yeah, I've never watched it in a theater. It's kind of tempting. It might be fun to go do. Watch that one. You got Weird Al in there doing a voice. So that could be fun. And a whole bunch of younger people than I can re-experience like the worst moment of their lives. The scene that was so unpopular, they edited, they changed the G.I. Joe movie because Duke was dying. I'm pretty sure it was Duke. Duke was going to die in the G.I. Joe movie. They were killing Duke. And they said, ooh, that didn't go particularly well. And the toy sales did not do well. They tried to replace all the old characters with new ones. Look, you have to buy all these now. And people said, no, I don't. Didn't. And the toy sales went down and basically kind of killed Transformers because they got really greedy. So they backed off because movie studios could do that once in a while in the old days. They could go, oh, that was a mistake. Let's not do that again. Nowadays, it's like, what? They didn't like that. Then we'll do it twice as hard the next time. We'll teach them, you dirty. Anyways. Blame This Rabbit Hole on You. Cannon sang it, but Chuck Barris wrote Palisades Park. Oh, okay. I know, dude, I like being corrected, except by my wife, of course. But I'm never wrong around my wife, though, so that never comes up. Let's kill popular characters and bring on new. They'll love it. Yes, it's like that's the attitude, and it was back then too. None of the stuff that's happening is new. When I was talking last week about all the old magazines I'm going through, it's the same stuff, man. It's just a different decade. It's generated by greed and foolishness. There was some version of this happening with cavemen. I promise you. I don't know how it would have worked out over cave paintings, maybe. Yeah, but like human greed and foolishness and short-sightedness are an eternal issue for human beings ever since the fall, ever since we ate that forbidden fruit. So we think, oh, I can't believe this is happening today. It's been happening for a long time. It just takes slightly different forms, given the technology of the day, given the pop culture of the day. But like it's it's sadly not new, so but yeah, it's this. I think the other problem when we're talking about movies specifically is there's a heavy dose of ego. They do not respect comic book creators. They're hacks. They're garbage, right? And so the idea that I, a filmmaker, a screenwriter, who, by the way, are considered by literary authors to be hacks and garbage for the most part, but I'm so much higher up in the, totem pole than these comic book writers that I'm not going to use their work. I'm going to improve it. And they improve it, and it's not as popular. But again, if you have a brain, you go, well, obviously people really resonate on this stuff, man. So let's be as true to it as we can be and have fun with it. Let me get into it. Like, dude, part of personal growth is like, there's stuff you're just not into, but you can learn to like. This is something like with my wife and I. She was into country music and I was not into country music. My mom liked John Denver and Kenny Rogers, so I had that exposure, but I didn't really have any country music exposure. Oh, I watched Hee Haw when I was a kid, but I think that's because my dad wanted to watch the Hee Haw Honeys. But I didn't really have much exposure to country music. It didn't really mean anything to me, whatever, country. And then I hook up with her and I'm hearing stuff. And all of a sudden I'm kind of like, oh, dude, outlaw country's badass. I really like George Strait. I like Alan Jackson, Toby Keith comes along. He was fun. And I got into country music and I enjoyed it and kind of went back to because I always do. Whenever I start on, I always start going backwards and, Hank Williams Sr. and Patsy Cline, the whole. So, you can learn to like something. You can read something that is not your thing. And you could still, if you use your brain, you can pick out what's the good of it. What are people really enjoying in this? Let me work with that. It's not hard to do, man. But they just freaking won't do it because I'm better than this. And it's like, dude, if you're making it, you're not better than it. Period. Actors. If you're an actor and you're in some little B-movie horror thing, you're not too good for it, because if you were too good for it, you'd be doing a different movie. You took that job because that was the job there was for you to take. That's where you're at right now. Respect it. British actors were often so good with that stuff even though they might have thought it was stupid, pros, man, you do the friggin' work. And you look at Guinness had zero respect for Star Wars. None. He got a really sweet deal. Good for him. Do you capture that on film with Obi-Wan Kenobi? No. He does a great job with it. British actors like to act, and this is my job, and I'm going to do the best I can do with it. For the most part. There are actors who will phone things in, but most British actors I've noticed will do that, and some Americans will, but a lot of them won't. Oh, I'm above this, and you're not above it. If you were above it, you wouldn't be doing it, And for friggin' screenwriters, dude, you are not better than comic book writers. You simply are not. I'm sorry to tell you this, Actual writers of literature are better. It's a lot harder to do. Whether it is a friggin' romance novel or it is an absolute classic, it's still harder to do than screenwriting and all that other stuff. Sorry, but it's true. So yeah, get off your friggin' high horse with comic books. Show some respect for the medium because it has a bunch of fans, and that's why it's being turned into a movie in the first place. And they just do it right. Lana War says, "I'm sure nothing bad will come as a result." Of getting rid of your characters. Of course not. How do these people get paid big bucks? Yeah, they get paid to fail. I don't know. They didn't used to. You failed, you're out. Go find something else to do. We can't use you anymore. Okay, let's look at some comic books that I picked up. Not a ton. I picked up a few things. I'll do Thundarr last. So I'm going to talk about that one a little bit. Let's take that dude off. Transformers. Robots in disguise. Okay. Boom. Justice League of America and Avengers. They're reprinting the crossover that they did. It's not bad. It seems overly complex to me in a lot of ways, but you have a lot of friggin' characters you're trying to juggle. I mean, if you had just stuck with who the current day teams are, but this goes like multiverse, kind of, different iterations over the years of not really multiverse, but just different iterations of them over the years, which is kind of fun to see some of them together. But I would say in terms of like the Marvel DC crossovers, Batman Hulk, I think, is my favorite, and that's mostly because of the art. But I will admit, the best one is the Teen Titans X-Men. That one really worked. Great art, too, from Simonson, who's doing a lot of Kirby because you got the New Gods in there and stuff, and it works. After that, I would say probably the first Spidey Superman one was fun. Love the art in it. Ross Andrew, with some help from Romita and some others. Then I probably slate this into fourth place because it's just a little bit busy, and the whole we have to find the different artifacts and get them all together. It's like, oh boy, that sounds like a kind of a quest that people didn't think too hard about. It kind of works in this thing, and then probably the last one I would put would be the second Spidey Superman crossover. Which the Buscema art, I love Buscema, but it just didn't work for me in that one all that well. I think it had sort of better. I think they should have done Doctor Doom and Dr. Octopus. No, I'm sorry. No. Lex Luthor and Doctor Doom should have been in the first one. They went. Now I know you're going, but Doctor Doom is technically Fantastic Four. Yeah, but he fought Spidey a lot, and he does show up in the second one. I don't know. I just felt like it was a better match for Luthor. Speaking of the Titans, I grabbed a few back issues this week. Not a ton, but just some of the older new Teen Titans. That's when they were taking on like the Olympians and stuff like that. Grabbed a Silver Sable because I'm sort of putting that collection together. It's a later era comic book that I did like. And I've been enjoying it. I only read a few of them, but I did enjoy it. I grabbed this out of the dollar bin, some old Flash. Always up for a little old Flash. So let's talk about this dude a little bit. Now, I'll be honest with you. I was thinking this was the last part of the series. And I think the reason was the Tigress Island went 5 issues and Spirit of the Shadows went 5 issues. And so my brain went, oh, Thundarr 5. That must be the last one. It's not. It's 6 issues. This one's grown on me. I'm still not in love with the art. It's not bad, but the style I'm not in love with. But, Ramey's got the number 1 Silver Sable run. Yeah, I think I do have number 1 on that one too. Yeah, it's pretty good. It has a different vibe than some of the Marvel at the time. Although I think Marvel was moving more towards that vibe at the time. But at any rate, interesting story though, and I think they've done a good job with this. It all kind of hinges around the cataclysm of 1994, which, is probably also true of pop culture. The Wizards coming together to try to change the past and eradicate humanity, and what they do to Thundarr, and sort of him going through a different sort of timeline, and getting back to where he wants to be. And you get more about Ariel. You get what is maybe my favorite part in a way. It was funny. It was funny. Let me see if I can find it. So, here we go. Oops, a lot of ads. So we get this thing here. Kind of zoom in. I don't know if it'll pick it up that well, but so what is the story of Ookla? We don't know the story of Ookla. Here is, spoiler alert. Should I put spoilers sign up? Put spoilers. Okay, here we go. Here is the story of Ookla the Mock. There you go. It's not a really complex story. And when they come back, you see Ookla, going, rah, 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 rah. Them saying, I don't think I understood a word of that. That's Ariel. And Thundarr's like, I believe he said he once ate a man. Ookla. Anyways, I'm enjoying Thundarr, and I'm glad. Who told me to get it? Raimi, were you the one badgering me saying, get Thundarr, stupid? I can't remember. Somebody did in the chat, and I was like, well, okay. So I went ahead. Let me take spoilers off here. So so I got it, and it's grown on me. It's definitely grown on me. I think they did a nice job with it. The other piece I got, wasn't Raimi. Okay, somebody was, and I can't remember who it was now. The Amazing Spider-Man by Stan Lee and John Romita. This is the comic strip in full color. Kind of reminds me of the old Spidey books I got that reprinted like the first 18 issues of Spider-Man, which is what really got me into being a old school Spidey fan. So, but you got your Romita art. I remember reading this comic strip back in the day. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this one. It's going to be competing with a Nancy for all seasons for my comic strip reading at the moment. Let us look at, I shouldn't say lettuce, what with all the explosive diarrhea going on. Let us look at some coming attractions. And there's actually quite a few. And I think partly because San Diego Comic-Con is coming around. Frazetta Girls is adding a new figure to the Icon range, and it might just be popular. The incomparable Deja Thoris will be up for pre-order in September. They're not messing around. Yeah, that may be actually too much clothing for one of the Red Martians or any of the Martians in that universe. They're just about nude. The way it's described. Yeah, really. So, I mean, good job on that. But I think that could be a popular figure. Folks might want to look into it. And they've already done like Vampirella and a couple. So, I mean, what is it, Tigra? Is that her name? Yeah. So, they've kind of got the whole female form down for those figures. But they also have a forthcoming announcement. It was forthcoming, but it forthcame about like 30 minutes before I was going on live for this. Frazetta Universe, so those are their Masters of the Universe style figures, Wave 2, which is coming in fall 2026. And, in the vein of Deja Thoris, we have Azrin the Valkyrie, Warrior of the Star Realms. Remember, these are all based on Frazetta paintings. So, when they do female figures. Anyways, we got Zorik the Necromancer, Keeper of Souls. And we have Erlich Scarsoul, Lord of the Southern Isles. This is from Michael Moorcock's Elric Stories, but obviously from a painting that Frazetta did. And I got him actually sitting right back here. How much noise is this going to make if I do it? Oh, okay. I showed this last time around. Still haven't taken it out of the package, but there's the Frazetta Universe. John Carter of Mars. Really fun. Cool figures. I think they did a good job with them. So they got Wave 2 coming. Wave 1 also, I'm knocking everything over here. Wave 1 also had Conan the Barbarian and, who else was in that dang wave? I can't think of it now. Oh, Death Dealer. So, there we go. And a really good album too. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's what's coming from Frazetta Girls. They're doing cool stuff, man. They really are. The price points are a little bit higher, honestly, but they're good. And again, I haven't taken John Carter out of the packaging yet. I'm going to do that pretty soon. I think I will. Maybe I'll do a video for Friday. I was going to do a Friday video, but maybe I will do one and we'll actually take it off card and look at it. But the quality looks good, and I think Man of War can speak, because I think he's gotten some of the other Icon figures. He can speak to the quality on those, if those are good as well. On July 29th, Hasbro will have the Mole Man and his little mole dudes up for pre-sale at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's 3 days from now. So Wednesday. if you are a Mole Man fan, you might want to check that out. Yeah, so if you got like Fantastic Four figures and stuff like that, you might want to grab him. I assume, I mean, their price points are usually pretty good, but you do get a couple extra dudes. They're not full-size figures, though, so I don't know. I don't know what the price point's going to be on that one yet. Cool announcement from Mike Barron. Apparently, there is more Badger on the way. I really only got into the Badger books in about the last year or so. Grabbed some from a dollar bin, and they're weird. They're weird, and I like them. So he's a weird character. He's like a multiple personality. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward. God, some of these dudes, you're just, again, you know, John Byrne just releases that X-Men thing, which I ended up not buying because I'm like, I've already read them and I don't really have room. But it's really good stuff. X-Men in the Savage Land. Lepresti just doing that one, Zorro's Legacy #1. And obviously he's doing his own stuff too. But you're just going like, these guys ought to still be, if Marvel and DC had a brain between them, these dudes would be working for them. They'd be working the hell out of these guys and getting some amazing stuff out of them. And they're not. You know, DC has Absolute. It has the Absolute series. It's doing well. Remy says, I heard a rumor that Jack Kirby drew the Mole Man that way because he was making fun of his father-in-law. Could be. That could be. I mean, I know Jack Kirby loved his wife beyond love, but that didn't necessarily mean he loved his father-in-law. Or maybe it was a joke between them two. Who knows? But that's cool. Yeah, that's funny. So we got Badger coming. That's just an announcement. Nothing solid yet. But I am enjoying the Bronze Star that Baron's doing. I think Private American. I think they're talking about issue 2 of Private American, which I did enjoy. That was pretty darn good too. Baron does cool stuff. Oh, and the Nexus. That Nexus one was good as well. Speaking of Scrooge, NECA has some more Muppet figures on the way. I think they're showing these off at the Comic-Con. We got Kermit as Bob Cratchit and Tiny Tim, Robin, was the name of that character on the Muppet Show. Badger was a cool indie comic in the 80s. Yeah, Raimi, absolutely, it was. Oh, and Manowar. Got Conan, Fire and Ice, Dark Wolf, Lord Necron, and Tigra, all top-notch figures at a decent price point. So there we go. So, yeah, I mean, I'll probably get in trouble, but I haven't ordered any of those, but maybe Deja Thoris will be the one. And then I'm going to be like, well, I really should have gotten the John Carter. And that's how these things happen. It's like rabbits. They just breed. You buy one toy and now you need 3 other ones to go with it. So Muppet figures. So we got Bob, as we always say in our household, Scratch It. So when I was in junior high, it was an English class, probably near the Christmas holiday. They showed us, the teacher showed us, the George C. Scott Scrooge movie, which is one of my absolute favorites. And this one kid who's kind of the class clown in class referred to Bob as Bob Scratch It. And it struck me funny. And 40 years later, it is now what we call Bob Cratchit in my household because of that one kid. See, this is the impact you can have on popular culture. That one kid made a stupid comment, and now 50 years later, 40 years later, somebody is still using that stupid joke. You can show the taller. Oh, you better not. Your wife will. Yeah, she might. She might. You know, we'll see. We'll see how much hand I have in this relationship. It's not a lot. So we got that. We got those, which, by the way, those look fantastic. And that movie, when I mentioned the Johnny Depp Ebenezer thing to my daughter, she's like, they made the ultimate, you know, Christmas Carol with the Muppets. Why are they still trying to make this thing? There's a lot of people who feel that way. It was a pretty solid version. They also have Mana Mana and the what's the word for them? I wrote it down. The Snoths. I didn't know those dudes were called Snoths, but I know now. So Mana Mana, Mana Mana, a 3-pack. those look fantastic. I have no need for them whatsoever, but I can't deny that I like them, man. I like them. And apparently it is, here's how it's spelled on the toy. M-A-H-N-A, M-A-H-N-A. Mana, Mana. And I guess that's the name of the dude in the middle. He's like a Pokemon. He just says his own name. But there we go. And a deluxe Oscar the Grouch for my lady's pleasure. It's a 7-inch figure, so I probably shouldn't have said for my lady's figure and then 7 inches. Which a lot of ladies might be going. Any rate, Oscar the Grouch coming up well. So they're doing some, these are just really nice looking figures. That's the hard part, is that they put out some of the stuff and it looks so. Okay, I might have dropped off there for a second. I just got to disconnect and reconnect. So if there was a drop off, I'm sorry. But anyways, great looking figures, but you're going, I just don't have any place for them. I don't need these. But like the Jada did that Fred Flintstone and Barney Rubble for like the Fruity Pebbles, Cocoa Pebbles. And I'm like, I want these friggin' figures. And they did the Tony the Tiger one. I'm like, they look so cool. Give me an excuse. And I couldn't find an excuse. You're okay. It was just a quick blip. Okay. Yeah. I just popped up all of a sudden. I don't know what's going on. So we got those from NECA. Sort of an odd one. The, I don't know if Slimy's in there. He might be in there. Yeah, I know, hon. Yeah, it popped up a warning from OBS and said it disconnected, and then immediately said it reconnected. So hopefully it's not frozen everywhere. UHF, the score, the musical, score. So not his music, not Weird Al's music, but the music for the movie is being released for the first time. It is going to be available for a 3-week period on Weird Al's website starting July 21st, so a few days ago. But you still got about 3 weeks. So if you want the UHF score, here is your chance to get it. But I thought that's funny. The soundtrack was never released, which happened with some movies back in the day. If it was mostly more about the songs from a movie, sometimes the soundtrack wouldn't get released. But that's kind of cool. But I guess it's maybe like a little special limited edition thing that's being done, because you got to go to his site apparently to pick it up. I got a Rumble channel where I make rambling. Rambling on Rumble. That could be the name of the channel. Rambling on Rumble. I need to load my stuff. I used to load stuff onto Rumble and I stopped because I got like maybe 2 or 3 views per video. And, Rumble, a lot of it kind of goes more, a little more political, a little more cryptocurrency, and a little more video game. So my stuff was sort of like, but I'm going, I really do need to back some of this stuff up on there. Also from NECA, and these are pretty damn cool. These are, I should have asked that, Mr. Sushi. That's my, Ramey, what is the name of the channel? Let us know in the chat, and I will say it out loud as well, and I'll go check it out too. Very political there. Rumble can be a little wild. But okay. It is Frocnar 7, Frocnar 7. So check that one out, folks. So NECA is doing 8-inch DC figures, mixed media. So basically, they're getting into Migos wheelhouse in a big way here. Now, I first saw an announcement of the Superman figure, and you can kind of see him there, and we could see him right there. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. 8-inch with the cloth. Okay. I should grab that because I have a lot of Migos. Be good to talk about on the channel. I'll grab that. Now they're about $43 a pop. So they are about twice as expensive as a Migo figure at this point. Oh yeah. So dude, finding stuff on Rumble it's tricky. Ramey, like what's a video title that you like recently did, latest or close to latest, and that they might be able to find it by searching for the video title. So anyways, this kind of popped up and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll grab it. I mean, it's $43, but I'll do it because it'd be good to show on the channel. And then, a day later, oh, by the way, also, Adam West Batman. Okay, I got the Figures Toy Company one, or no. Was it I think it's Figure Toy Company. Okay, I got that one. All right. I don't need that. Ooh, Hal Jordan, Silver Age kind of green friggin' lantern. That's pretty rad. Oh, Christopher Reeve Superman. They did a Christopher Reeve Superman, and I just bought the other Superman. Now, these are pre-orders. And then they also got a Jon Stewart Green Lantern. But these look pretty darn good. $43. Shipping March 2027. Now, last I checked, they were all still up for pre-order, so they're still available. Ramey said, Funny Farms and Puzzle Factories, we need them. A Grouchy Old Dude video. So there's a title. So look up Funny Farms and Puzzle Factories, and you can maybe find the channel searching for that. Yeah, I remember that. Rumble was always tricky to find things on. Dude, search engines are nothing to laugh at. The good ones, the other place, sounds stupid, but if you're using like a Chat GPT, you could probably search and say, hey, look on Rumble and find me this, and it probably can find the link, because it's just a slightly better version of searching. I found a few things that I probably wouldn't have found otherwise. So these are shipping, like I said, March 2027 from NECA. I pre-ordered the Superman. I am trying to talk myself into ordering something else and going, no. You don't need any of the other ones. So we'll see. Because I got I pretty much have a version, but I don't have like a Christopher Reeve like that. That's the one that's most tempting to me. Because the Adam West one, and you can actually see him just over to I'm totally backwards. There we go. Right, he's right about there. If you can see my finger pointing, he's sitting in the old Mego Batmobile with the Burt Ward Robin. Those are pretty good. So I'm like, I don't really necessarily, but the Christopher Reeve though, like Mego style, that is a temptation, I have to admit. Also saw in the Toy Ventures newsletter, Toy Ventures great if you ever checked it out, magazine. They haven't published for a little while. They've been doing some other stuff and had some issues crop up with stuff. Brian Hyler talked about that and other thing, but he does Plaid Stallions. He does a lot of great videos on Migos and stuff like that. He in his newsletter, they showed this off. From Factory Toys, they're going to make some $6 million Man and Bionic Woman figures. Definitely worth watching out for. Those look pretty cool. I am a $6 Million Man fan from way back. Yeah, apparently you're still having trouble finding. Well, dude, seriously, try like a Chat GPT. You might get lucky. Sometimes, also, honestly, just doing a Google search. Type it in and type Rumble, and sometimes that will find it better than the actual Rumble search will find it. So might want to check that out. Oh, and last thing for coming attractions, this just popped up. Best friend Danny Roberts, amazing artist, is going to do a little comic book work here, or maybe already has. Danny Barham announced for Comic-Con weekend, he's got a book called Halloween Team, and they're doing another volume of it that my buddy Danny is working on. There's a little thing. I think that's from the first one because it doesn't look like Danny's art, but so you might want to check that out. Halloween Team Shadows. Dude, Danny's an amazing artist and a good guy, and a total dork who used to, when we were teenagers, his idea of a good time was, let's go to Sunset Park and try to catch bats. We also used to spend a lot of time in grocery stores in the middle of the night because they all used to be 24 hours in Vegas. Not anymore. So Danny's an excellent dork and a good friend. So you might want to check that out. He has posted a couple pieces he did recently. He did like a piece of Absolute Wonder Woman that was friggin' amazing. Danny's a guy again, probably somebody who should be working in the big leagues, but he pursued other things for a long time. So he's trying to get into doing some comic book stuff, and Halloween Team Shadows landed on that, and we'll see what he's got in store, what he's going to do. I'm sure we'll find out more about it. And I will definitely talk about it on my channel because he's my guy, dude. He's my boy. Got to do that. He'll never live it down of the bat thing. I'm like, yeah, that sounds like fun. What the hell are we going to catch him with, dude? Do you have a net? What are we going to do with them when we catch them? What are we going to do when we catch rabies from them? Man, him and I, like, we're like the odd couple in some ways. You know, it was some of the dumb stuff we did was sitcom quality of just him coming up with stuff and me going, are you serious? Bubblegum works, don't it? Okay. Catching bat, okay. And I won't ask. Let's break this Mattel Superman off the card. Whoa, a little ASMR there for everybody. Okay, am I going to be able to get this dude out of here? That is question number 1. Do you like the sound of crinkling plastic? I hope so. Because I've got something for you. Now, what I won't do at the moment, I'm not going to take the little extra doodads off the card. Because the last time I was trying to do this, it took forever. But it looks like he's got like a girder that he can crush in his hand. He's got chains that he could break. He's got like a breastplate, which for all I know comes out of something. I have no idea. I think those are shoulder plates that go into it. I'm sure he wore that armor in something. But I kind of dig the girder and the chain. That's pretty cool. Those would be good for just doing a little posing. Oh, and all right, we know we could do that. Look, I aim to please my audience. So if we could just... All right, yeah, I'm going to hold it over here. The last one of these came out pretty easy. I did not have too much trouble with it. I shouldn't have opened my mouth. All right, if you can get the legs, there you go. You can usually pop the rest of them out. All right. Superman. Let's see if we can get him into a position that does not look completely insane. That's not too bad. I'm now standing him so I could get him into a upright. Nice. Okay. You know what? Let's put the hands on hips. Superman look. There we go. Just like George Reeves in the old stuff. There is Superman from Mattel. So let's see if we can get a close-up. I'll use this maybe so that we can get it to focus. There we go. I don't know if we're going to get a good focus on this one. It's tough. So I will describe him. He looks pretty good. He's got a spit curl. He's got a serious face. It is a significantly better sculpt of the face, in my opinion, than what we were getting from McFarlane, who always seemed to me like they were going too pale and too dark on lips. So a lot of their characters recently have looked kind of like they were, had been embalmed, but pretty darn cool. So now I've already shown off the Mattel Batman. I went ahead and grabbed Batman off the shelf so we can see the world's finest together. Get them about even. Okay, there we go. Actually, let's make it look like their feet are. See, I'm literally trying to do everything in reverse, and I'm doing it really badly. So there we go. Batman, we got Superman. The core collection, these are like $16. These are meant for toys, for kids to play with. They are not like the collector stuff that they're doing. It looks a little bit like Super Friend. Yeah, it does. But not, I think the thing is, you look at this and it's classic Superman. He's got the trunks. He's got the yellow belt. That's pretty much the classic, symbol on the chest. It seems like it might be a little bit higher on the chest, but maybe not. You got the cloth cape that goes with it. And you notice there's like a hole in the back in the cape because there's stuff you can stick into the back of these figures. kind of like the Batman type figures they put out back in the 90s, you know, that had all the weird looks. And they've done some like that too. They got some 2-packs, some 3-packs out there of different characters, but it's very much, to me, just it's classic Superman. You don't really go, oh, well, it's this version, it's that version. It's just sort of the classic Superman. I think they did, like with Flash, like with Batman, they did a nice job. Now, if you look at their things, they say these are it's either 6 1/4 or 6 1/2. I think 6 1/4 inch figures. So you go, oh, so they're a little bit bigger than the Marvel Legends stuff from Hasbro. Well, here's Supes and Wonder Man, and I think you can see, scale-wise, they go together pretty darn well. And obviously, I can't really set them down. I mean, I sort of can. Let's see if we could do this. Superman, put your foot down, honey. You're going to fall over. There you go. There you go. All right. This is probably a huge mistake, but let's see. So there they are, standing there in my messy room in the background. And you can kind of see that's pretty much the same scale. That I'm pretty happy about. I like the idea of these figures pretty much going together, so you can kind of cross them over on your display shelf. They're not one out of the other. It was always a little bit annoying that the McFarlane stuff was totally different scale than all the Marvel stuff. So far, I'm pretty happy with what Mattel is doing, and we'll see. Now you need American flag for him to hold. Yeah, the eagle would have been a good idea. I do have a falcon, that falcon figure, but the American flag, actually, it's a good idea. That's a good idea. I don't know if this will go in his hand, though. I don't know. This is a little bit, the flagpole on this thing's a little bit thick. Here's an awesome opportunity for me to maybe break this figure before I've barely gotten to use it. Oh, it worked. It worked. It flexed. Okay. All right. Hold on. Let's get that a little bit lower. Hold on. We got to get this right. This is, well, it's America's 250th. There we go. Superman with the American flag. All right, there we go. So it will, in fact, hold a little American flag. And I didn't break it. That's actually kind of a nice little test, that there is a little bit of flex in those fingers. So, you know, unlike all of our old thumbless G.I. Joes, that worked out pretty well. So kind of cool, though, that they're the same basic scale as the Marvel stuff, so you can kind of display them together. All right, so that is basically what I got for this one. I'm still somehow awake, or actually I'm dreaming right now, and everybody's just been watching, like, you know, me like hunched over, falling asleep on the air. But if it's a dream, it is, oh, what did we have to, hold on. Oh, all right. So Manover said, I missed this one. Nice figure. Superman must have a spit curl and complete misunderstanding of how underwear works. And Lady Gwendolyn did, in fact, have to approve that one. Okay, somebody type booger and see if that will get you kicked off the air like it did Dr. Johnny Fever. But that'll do it for Dad's Den today. I'm going to go take a nap or something. I got a video I got to make today. Monday I'll have, actually I got two. Well, at least one, maybe two. Monday, Baldur the Brave #3. We're going through the Simonson Thor run, but we're doing a little detour into Baldur the Brave because it sort of meshes with it. Wednesday, I'm going to have my review up of Rhodey, a Meatloaf movie. But it's a weird little journey, and I kind of dig it, and it has some really cool cameos from some different music people in it. I liked it. The critics hated it. I'll do a review of that on Wednesday. And maybe on Friday, I was going to be nothing. It was going to be a bye week. But Friday, Amy went for it. Booger. Okay. I wasn't. Friday, maybe I'll do an off-the-card review of John Carter of Mars, because I really do need to get that sucker opened up. And that'll do it, folks. I hope everybody is having an awesome Sunday. I hope you got more sleep than I did, or at least you had more fun when you weren't sleeping than I had. And I will see you next Sunday, I guess. I guess that's it. I'm trying to think, how do I end these things? The same way I've done about 500 videos now. God bless everybody. Oh, I know what I forgot. Thank you, everybody who's in the chat. Man of War 665, Ramey Butler, Sushi Hut, Lady Wendelin, of course. I hope I didn't miss anybody else who might have stopped by. I think that was the crew this time. But also thank you to everybody who tuned in, everybody who watches this after the fact, because I know there's tons of stuff out there. Really do appreciate that. God bless everybody. Please be kind to one another. Have a little bit of fun out there. I will see you again, hopefully soon, in Dad's Den of Pop Culture. Bye-bye, folks.